There is a kind of woman who walks into a relationship not because she truly understands the meaning of love, but because she is addicted to the feeling of being noticed. Her heart is not set on building something stable. Her mind is not focused on creating growth with one man. What she is really after is the constant stream of recognition that makes her feel significant in the moment. This woman thrives on validation. It is her food, her oxygen, her daily fuel. When she wakes up in the morning, she is not asking, "How can I contribute to this relationship today?" She is silently asking, "Who is going to remind me today that I am desirable, wanted, admired?" That question drives her actions. And if a man does not recognize this pattern early, he will spend his life pouring affection into a cup that has no bottom. You see, a good man often believes that love is enough. He believes that consistency, loyalty, and devotion will win her heart and keep her secure. But with this type of woman, consistency feels invisible. Stability feels bland. A steady hand, no matter how faithful, begins to feel like background noise. And the more predictable his love becomes, the less she registers it. It is not because the man is unworthy. It is because her appetite for validation can never be satisfied by one source. The moment the novelty fades, the moment the rush of new attention wears off, she starts scanning the horizon for the next admirer who will give her that temporary spark again. This is why good men often get blindsided. They believe they are doing everything right, providing, protecting, cherishing, showing up with integrity. But while he is investing in the foundation of the relationship, she is secretly seeking a spotlight outside of it. It is not that she doesn't see his love, it's that she has normalized it, and now she craves the thrill of someone else discovering her all over again. Imagine a performer who cannot live without applause. Once the clapping stops, even if the room is filled with people who love her, she feels unseen. This type of woman treats men the same way. What makes it dangerous is the illusion she projects. In the beginning, she can appear deeply invested. She may shower a man with attention, she may say all the right words, she may act like she has finally found her peace. But that performance is fueled by the excitement of being pursued. Once the chase ends, once she feels she has secured his devotion, her internal craving kicks in again. She becomes restless. She may start posting more on social media, fishing for compliments from strangers. She may strike up harmless conversations with other men, disguised as friendship, but secretly feeding her hunger. She may even create small arguments in the relationship just to feel noticed again. These are not accidents. They are strategies her subconscious uses to secure another hit of validation. The tragedy is that no amount of love from a good man can cure this cycle. The more he gives, the less she values it, because his consistency feels too familiar. She confuses stability with invisibility. She confuses loyalty with limitation. And while he thinks he is proving his love by being steady, she is quietly convincing herself that she needs something more. This is where betrayal begins to take root. It rarely starts with a physical act. It starts with her opening the door to emotional attention from someone else. A compliment at work, a message from an old friend, a stranger's admiration online. These little sparks become the fuel that distracts her from appreciating the man she already has. And once she allows herself to indulge in that attention, she starts comparing. Suddenly, the good man's love seems less exciting. His loyalty feels ordinary. His faithfulness feels unremarkable. What makes this situation heartbreaking is that a good man often blames himself when it happens. He asks, "What did I do wrong? Wasn't I enough? Didn't I love her the right way?" But the truth is, it was never about him. It was always about her hunger. A woman who thrives on validation is not searching for love. She is searching for applause. And applause is temporary. No single man can play the role of an audience forever. The moment she decides that his devotion is no longer thrilling, she begins looking for another stage, another spotlight, another admirer to make her feel alive again. It is important to understand this pattern because it can save a man years of confusion and heartbreak. If a woman needs validation more than she needs connection, if she craves attention more than she craves intimacy, then no matter how good you are, she will eventually convince herself that she is missing something. And instead of going inward to heal, instead of facing her emptiness, she will project that emptiness onto the relationship. She will say things like, "I just don't feel the same anymore," or "I need space to find myself." But what she is really saying is, "Your devotion no longer excites me, and I need someone new to remind me that I matter." A good man must recognize this early. Not every woman who enjoys compliments is unfaithful, but when attention becomes her addiction, when validation becomes her primary fuel, she will always be at risk of stepping outside of the relationship. Not because the man is lacking, but because her own spirit is restless. This is why discernment is so crucial. Love alone does not guarantee loyalty. Devotion alone does not guarantee faithfulness. A man must learn to distinguish between a woman who values connection and a woman who only values attention. One will build with you. The other will use you as a stepping stone on her endless search for applause. There is a kind of woman who does not see love as an exchange of hearts, but rather as an exchange of goods, benefits, and opportunities. For her, relationships are not about connection, vulnerability, or true intimacy. They are about transaction. She measures her partner not by his character, not by his loyalty, not by the way he stands firm when storms come. She measures him by what he can provide, what he can upgrade in her life, and what advantages he brings to her world. When she enters a relationship, she comes with a mental checklist, not an open heart. She is asking herself, what do I gain from being with this man? What lifestyle can he give me? How will he elevate my status, my comfort, my social standing? This is dangerous for a good man, because his natural instinct is to give. He works hard, he provides, he protects, and he sees love as an opportunity to share everything he builds with the woman he cares for. But to this type of woman, his generosity is never seen as love. It is seen as her entitlement. The more he gives, the more she expects. The moment he struggles, the moment he can't deliver at the same level, she doesn't ask, how do I support him through this season? She asks, who else can give me what I want? In her world, affection is conditional. Respect is conditional. Even loyalty is conditional. As long as the benefits are flowing, she will smile. She will play the role of the devoted partner. She will say the right things. But when challenges arise, when he faces financial setbacks, when life demands patience, when circumstances test the foundation of the relationship, her mask begins to slip. Suddenly, her energy changes. She becomes colder, more distant, less affectionate. Not because her love has faded, but because her calculation has shifted. She is weighing whether he is still worth the investment. This type of woman does not build. She consumes. She does not think in terms of partnership. She thinks in terms of profit. She will gravitate toward the man who looks like he has more to offer, even if that man has less integrity, less loyalty, and less genuine care for her. In her eyes, the value of a man is tied directly to his capacity to provide material or social gains. And when you are a good man who believes love is sacred, this realization is painful. Because while you are investing your heart, she is running numbers in her mind. While you are giving from your soul, she is calculating from her desire. What makes this even more deceptive is how well she can disguise her intentions. At first, she may not come across as materialistic. She may not openly demand money or gifts, but her true motives reveal themselves in subtle ways. She may always talk about what other people have, what her friends' partners are doing for them, or what she deserves in a relationship. She may drop hints about lifestyle upgrades, vacations, luxury, or opportunities, watching how quickly you respond. And when you meet those expectations, she praises you, but not for who you are, for what you did. The moment you stop meeting them, her admiration vanishes. A good man in this situation often finds himself exhausted, not emotionally, but materially. He feels like no matter how much he provides, it is never enough. If he buys a gift, she wants something greater next time. If he achieves a milestone, she raises the bar higher. And what he doesn't realize at first is that her commitment to him is never to the man himself. It is always to the benefits tied to him. This is why she is at risk of cheating, because her loyalty is not grounded in connection. It is grounded in transaction. If someone else presents a better offer, she is tempted, not because she stopped loving him, but because in truth, love was never the foundation of her choice to begin with. This pattern explains why some women can walk away from good men so easily when circumstances change. If a man faces job loss, financial struggle, or even decides to prioritize his dreams over material excess, she may no longer see him as valuable. Instead of standing beside him in faith, she begins scouting for another man who can keep her in the lifestyle she desires. To her, this feels logical, even justified, because she has convinced herself that relationships are about security, not sacrifice. But for the good man, it is betrayal of the deepest kind, because he entered with his soul while she entered with her ledger. The saddest part is how often this type of woman can blindside a man. She may appear loyal when everything is going well. She may appear supportive when he is at his peak. She may even convince him that her devotion is genuine. But her true nature is revealed in times of testing. The moment life demands endurance, she shows where her heart truly lies. And for the man who believed her love was unconditional, the shock of realizing it was transactional all along can leave him questioning himself, doubting his worth, and carrying scars into future relationships. It is important to see this clearly because love that is transactional will never survive long term. A relationship built on conditions will collapse the moment those conditions shift. A woman who values what you provide more than who you are is always vulnerable to temptation. She will rationalize betrayal by saying, "I deserve better," when in truth, she never valued what she had. She will justify her disloyalty by pointing to what she lacked, instead of appreciating what was already given. And a good man who doesn't recognize this will waste his strength trying to satisfy an appetite that only grows hungrier with every attempt. There is a kind of woman who cannot breathe in peace for too long. For her, stillness feels suffocating, and stability feels like a cage. While a good man longs to build a life of calm trust and consistency, she secretly feels drained by the very things he thinks are proof of his love. This type of woman lives in emotional chaos. She has trained her mind and her heart to believe that drama is passion, that unpredictability is excitement, and that turbulence is love. When the waters are calm, she stirs the waves. When everything is steady, she subconsciously sabotages it because chaos has become her comfort zone. Imagine a man who gives her peace of mind, who listens to her, who doesn't raise his voice unnecessarily, who treats her with kindness and respect. At first, she might find this refreshing. She might even say, "I've never had a man like you before." But as days pass and that peace continues, she starts to feel restless. Deep down, she associates love with emotional highs and lows. If there is no fight, no heated arguments, no jealousy games, she begins to think something is missing. She may start questioning, does he even care about me? Why doesn't he get angry? Why doesn't he chase me when I pull away? She mistakes his maturity for lack of passion. She mistakes his composure for lack of desire. This mindset is deeply dangerous for a good man because it puts him in a situation where his best qualities, his patience, his calmness, his self-control, are twisted into signs of weakness or indifference, while he believes he is giving her what every woman claims to want: a stable and loving partnership. She is quietly convincing herself that stability is boring. Instead of appreciating the absence of chaos, she begins craving it. And when she craves it, she finds ways to create it. This is the woman who will pick fights over nothing just to spark emotion. She may accuse him of things he hasn't done, not because she believes it, but because she wants to see fire in his eyes. She may withdraw her affection suddenly, testing whether he will chase after her with urgency. She may create jealousy by entertaining attention from others, just to feel that rush when he reacts. All of these actions are not about truth. They are about feeding her addiction to emotional volatility. In her mind, if the relationship is calm, it must not be real. Real love, she believes, is supposed to burn, to hurt, to shake her to the core. What makes this even more destructive is that she doesn't always realize she is doing it. For many women like this, chaos was normalized early in life. Perhaps she grew up in a household where love was always mixed with fighting, shouting, or instability. Perhaps her past relationships were built on toxic cycles of breaking up and making up, where pain was followed by passion and conflict was followed by reconciliation. Over time, she equated that cycle with intimacy. So when a good man arrives and offers her something steady, her subconscious mind whispers, "This can't be love. Love is supposed to hurt first and heal later." And without realizing it, she begins pushing him into situations that replicate her old patterns. For the good man, this becomes exhausting. He enters the relationship hoping for partnership, only to find himself constantly defending his loyalty, proving his devotion, and managing unnecessary conflict. Instead of building dreams together, he spends his time calming storms that never needed to exist. Instead of enjoying peace, he is walking on eggshells, waiting for the next spark of drama she might ignite. Slowly, he begins to feel drained, not because he doesn't love her, but because the relationship demands endless emotional energy without ever offering true rest. This cycle often leads her into dangerous territory, because when peace feels boring, she will eventually look for excitement elsewhere. That excitement might come in the form of another man who brings her the chaos she craves. It could be someone less stable, less responsible, but more unpredictable, more thrilling, more dramatic. To her, that feels like passion. She confuses his recklessness with romance. She confuses his inconsistency with intensity. And even though the good man offers her the kind of love that could sustain her for a lifetime, She chases the kind of love that burns fast and leaves scars. The most tragic part of this dynamic is how easily she dismisses the very thing she will later long for. In the moment, she rejects stability, but once chaos destroys her peace, she remembers the value of the man who gave it. But by then, he may already be gone, worn out by her endless need for drama. Good men often leave such relationships not because they stop loving, but because they realize love should not feel like a battlefield every day. When a woman lives in emotional chaos, no amount of kindness, patience, or devotion can convince her that calm is enough. Until she chooses to heal, until she chooses to redefine love for herself, she will continue seeking chaos to feel alive. And a good man caught in that storm must realize that her restlessness is not a reflection of his inadequacy. It is a reflection of her addiction to the kind of love that destroys more than it builds. There is a kind of woman who carries wounds so deep that even the most faithful, loving, and devoted man cannot fill the emptiness she feels inside. This type of woman has not healed from her past. Her heart is scarred, her trust is broken, and her vision of love is clouded by pain she never confronted. She may have been betrayed, abandoned, or mistreated before, and instead of doing the hard inner work of healing, she builds walls and masks that she drags into every new relationship. What she doesn't realize is that unhealed wounds don't disappear. They bleed into the present. They whisper into her thoughts, they dictate her emotions, and they sabotage her ability to receive pure love even when it is standing right in front of her. A good man comes into her life believing that love can heal all things. He thinks that if he is consistent, loyal, and patient, she will eventually see that he is different, that he is not the one who hurt her, that she is finally safe. But her unhealed heart does not recognize safety, it only recognizes patterns. She begins to project the pain of her past onto him. If someone lied to her before, she assumes he must be lying too. If someone abandoned her before, she lives in fear that he will one day do the same. If someone cheated on her before, she becomes suspicious of his every move, even when he has done nothing wrong. This creates a cycle where the good man is constantly paying the price for mistakes he never made. He is accused without cause, doubted without reason, and tested without end. No matter how much reassurance he gives, it is never enough because her fear is louder than his truth. And when reassurance stops soothing her, she may unconsciously begin to recreate the very pain she fears. Instead of being abandoned, she abandons first. Instead of being cheated on, she cheats first. Instead of being left vulnerable, she creates distance and chaos so she won't feel weak. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. She repeats the cycles of her past because she has not healed the wounds that caused them. This kind of woman often confuses intensity with love. Because her heart is still bruised, she looks for partners who can distract her from the pain, not necessarily those who can love her through it. She may find herself drawn to toxic dynamics because they feel familiar, even if destructive. Peace feels foreign, but drama feels like home. Stability feels uncomfortable, but chaos feels natural. So when a good man offers her something calm, something steady, something safe, she doesn't know how to trust it. Instead of embracing it, she questions it. She convinces herself that it's too good to be true, and because she doesn't feel she deserves it, she finds ways to sabotage it. This sabotage often appears as testing. She may withdraw affection to see if he chases her. She may provoke arguments just to measure his reaction. She may entertain attention from others to check if he will fight for her. These behaviors are not always intentional. They are survival mechanisms born from her unhealed pain. But over time, they exhaust the good man who is simply trying to love her. He begins to wonder why his devotion is never enough, why his loyalty is questioned, why his consistency is unappreciated. What he doesn't realize at first is that he is not fighting her doubts. He is fighting her past. And no man, no matter how good, can win against a memory she refuses to release. This is why so many good men are blindsided when women like this cheat. It is not that they were not enough. It is that her wounds made her believe love was a threat, and instead of leaning into safety, she ran toward the chaos that felt familiar. She cheats not out of malice, but out of brokenness. She seeks validation outside of the relationship because deep inside, she doesn't believe she is worthy of real love. She sabotages the very thing she secretly longs for because she has not yet healed enough to receive it. Her unhealed past becomes the lens through which she views every gesture of love. If he gives her attention, she wonders what he's hiding. If he doesn't get jealous, she thinks he doesn't care. If he's calm during conflict, she thinks he must be emotionally distant. If he's open about his feelings, she fears he will use that vulnerability against her. every pure act of love becomes twisted through the filter of past pain. And eventually, the weight of that distortion makes her restless. She convinces herself that the problem is not within her, but within the relationship. So she steps outside, hoping a new person will finally make her feel whole, not realizing that no one can heal what she refuses to confront. The good man in this situation is left confused because he did everything right. He loved, he showed up, he proved himself, and still, it wasn't enough. What he didn't know is that no matter how much light you bring, you cannot heal someone who insists on living in the shadow of their past. That healing is their responsibility. That forgiveness, that release, that rebuilding of trust must come from within her. Until she faces her own wounds, she will continue carrying them like chains, dragging them into every new relationship, and repeating the same destructive cycles again and again. There is a type of woman who equates commitment with captivity, and no matter how much love a good man gives her, she interprets that love as restriction. To her, loyalty feels like a set of rules, and devotion feels like a form of control. This is not because the man is doing anything wrong, but because in her mind, freedom means the ability to act without accountability, and relationships, by their very nature, require responsibility. She convinces herself that being tied to one man limits her options, narrows her choices, and somehow reduces her power. So even when she has a faithful, consistent, loving partner who wants nothing more than to build a life together, she interprets his commitment as chains instead of gifts. At first, she may seem deeply invested. She may enjoy the attention, the security, the comfort of knowing she has a man who loves her without conditions. She might even speak of the future, making promises that sound sincere. But beneath the surface, there is a quiet rebellion brewing. She begins to feel like she is losing her independence, like she is being asked to give up something essential. Every time he asks her to communicate, to show accountability, or to consider him in her choices, she hears not love but limitation. Instead of viewing it as partnership, she views it as a demand. This type of woman often has a restless spirit. She thrives on novelty, on new experiences, on the rush of possibilities. And when she settles into the rhythm of a committed relationship, the very steadiness that comforts a good man makes her feel caged. She starts asking herself, what if I'm missing out? What if there's something more exciting out there? What if I've tied myself down too soon? These questions grow louder, not because she lacks love, but because she equates her freedom with detachment. For the good man, this creates a painful situation. He believes that loyalty is the highest form of respect, that devotion is the deepest proof of love, and that sacrifice is natural when you want a relationship to last. But she does not interpret it that way. When he invests himself fully, she begins to withdraw. When he talks about building a future together, she starts thinking about escape. When he shows his reliability, she mislabels it as predictability. What he sees as stability, she sees as stagnation. This woman may not cheat because she doesn't love him. She cheats because she wants to remind herself that she still has choices. She convinces herself that stepping outside of the relationship is not betrayal, but self-expression. She tells herself she deserves to explore, to test, to prove that she cannot be tied down by anyone, even a good man. It becomes less about desire for another person and more about proving to herself that she is still free. Her rebellion shows up in subtle ways before it becomes outright betrayal. She may begin guarding her privacy obsessively, insisting that she has the right to keep certain things hidden in the name of independence. She may resist compromise, framing it as sacrifice of her identity. She may surround herself with friends or influences that encourage her to keep her options open, reminding her that she should never give too much to one man. And over time, this mindset poisons the relationship. Instead of embracing commitment as a partnership that enhances her life, she sees it as a burden she must eventually shake off. The tragedy of this mindset is that she doesn't realize true freedom is not the absence of commitment, but the ability to choose commitment wholeheartedly. Real freedom is not about escaping responsibility. It is about embracing it with love and joy. But because she fears being tied down, she treats every act of devotion as proof that she is losing herself. Even when the man supports her dreams, encourages her growth, and gives her space, she still interprets his presence as control. In her heart, loyalty feels like surrender, and surrender feels like weakness. For the good man, trying to love this woman is like trying to hold water in his hands. The tighter he tries to hold on, the faster she slips away. If he gives her too much freedom, she interprets it as disinterest. If he gives her too much attention, she interprets it as suffocation. He is left in a position where no matter what he does, she is searching for ways to rebel. And when that rebellion leads her outside of the relationship, he is left questioning what more he could have done, not realizing that her struggle was never about him. It was about her inability to reconcile love with freedom. Such a woman is drawn to temptation, not necessarily because she is unhappy, but because she feels compelled to prove that she is still independent, still untouchable, still her own person. She may flirt with others, entertain conversations she knows are inappropriate, or even step into physical betrayal, not because she is seeking love, but because she is seeking reassurance that she has not lost herself. In her mind, infidelity becomes a declaration of independence, a misguided way to reclaim what she thinks commitment has stolen. This creates a painful paradox. The very love that could strengthen her and make her feel secure becomes the very thing she resists. The very man who honors her becomes the man she betrays. And the very freedom she thinks she gains by stepping outside eventually chains her to guilt, secrecy, and the endless cycle of dissatisfaction. Yet, until she learns that true freedom is not found in rebellion, but in conscious choice, she will continue treating loyalty as a prison and sabotaging the very relationships that could give her peace. There is a kind of woman who falls in love not with the man himself, but with the image of him she has created in her mind. She does not see him as he truly is. She sees him as a projection of her fantasies, her desires, her ideals. In the early stages of the relationship, this makes her seem deeply enamored, almost obsessed. Because she is not actually loving the man, she is loving the version of him that she has imagined. She is intoxicated by the idea of the dream, the picture she has painted in her head. And because of this, her affection burns fast and hot. She tells herself she has found the perfect man, but what she has really found is an opportunity to play out her fantasy. For the good man, this can feel flattering at first. He feels admired, valued, even worshipped. She hangs on to his every word. She praises him constantly. She looks at him as though he can do no wrong. But slowly, as the relationship deepens, reality begins to show itself. He is human. He has flaws. He has weaknesses. He has moments of imperfection. Perhaps he is tired after a long day. Perhaps he struggles with stress. Perhaps he doesn't always have the answers. And when these moments appear, instead of accepting them with grace, she feels disappointment. Not because he has failed her in any significant way, but because he has failed to live up to the fantasy she created. This type of woman thrives on illusion. She loves the excitement of a new beginning because in that stage, she can project all her ideals onto the man without interference from reality. She tells herself stories about who he is, exaggerates his strengths, and ignores his weaknesses. But no illusion can last forever. The longer she stays, the more the real man is revealed. And for her, the real man can never compete with the imaginary one. What once felt magical begins to feel ordinary. What once felt perfect now feels flawed. And instead of adjusting her expectations, instead of embracing him as he truly is, she begins to grow restless. Restlessness for this kind of woman often leads to betrayal. Not always because she is seeking love elsewhere, but because she is seeking a new fantasy to immerse herself in. Another man provides another blank canvas, another opportunity to paint a picture of perfection, another chance to escape reality and lose herself in illusion. She tells herself, maybe this one will be everything I dreamed of. But the truth is, she is not chasing men. She is chasing the idea of perfection, the high of imagination, the intoxication of novelty. For the good man, this is one of the most painful dynamics to experience. He may be doing everything right, showing love, staying consistent, being dependable. Yet she grows distant, not because he has changed, but because the image in her head no longer matches the man in front of her. He tries harder, hoping to win her back, to reignite the fire she once showed so brightly. But no matter how hard he tries, he cannot compete with an illusion. He is fighting against a fantasy, and reality will always lose in that battle. This woman may not even realize the damage she is causing. In her mind, she believes she is simply falling out of love. She says things like, "It's not the same anymore," or "I just don't feel the spark." What she doesn't recognize is that she never truly loved the man to begin with. She only loved the fantasy. And once that fantasy faded, she convinced herself the relationship was no longer fulfilling. Instead of working through it, instead of accepting love as a process that grows deeper with time, she abandons it in search of the next dream. Her pattern reveals itself through repetition. She falls fast, she loves hard, she idealizes quickly. But just as quickly, she grows dissatisfied, restless, and detached. Each time she blames the man, claiming he changed, claiming he stopped trying, claiming he is no longer who she thought he was. But the truth is, he never was who she thought he was. He was always himself. It was her projection that changed, her illusion that faded, her fantasy that collapsed under the weight of reality. For the good man, this is devastating because he is left questioning his worth. He asks himself, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? Why did she lose interest when I gave her everything? What he doesn't see is that no man can ever be enough for someone who does not want reality. No matter how good, how faithful, how loving he is, he cannot live up to perfection, because perfection exists only in imagination. This type of woman chases love as though it is a movie scene, filled with endless passion, flawless moments, and picture perfect romance. But real love is not like that. Real love is about growth, patience, forgiveness, and learning to embrace imperfection. And until she accepts that true intimacy requires seeing someone fully and still choosing them, she will continue discarding good men in her pursuit of illusions. Each time the fantasy fades, she will convince herself she deserves more, when in truth, she never gave herself the chance to experience the depth of real love. The good man caught in this cycle must understand that her disappointment was never about his failure. It was about her refusal to accept that love is not fantasy, it is reality. And reality, no matter how beautiful, will always fall short for someone addicted to illusions.